Hello, nerds. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of the New Block Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Chris, aka Prince, with the homie Darron, aka Medic Grizzly. Darron, how we doing, bro?
Doing good, B. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's Tuesday, so we're back doing Tuesday Thrones. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us everywhere at New Block Nerds podcast. We do this every Tuesday where we go through a Song of Ice and Fire books, chapter by chapter, breaking them down. We are on a Game of Thrones Bran III. And this might be the shortest chapter in the book at only like 4 pages, I think, but it is dense. So pretty much where we are, this is the first Bran chapter since he got pushed out of the window by Jaime. But before I put my kind of like tinfoil hat on, Darron, I really want to get your reaction because it's only 4 pages, but it's very dense and it's really Bran discovering his green seer ability in this chapter for the first time, and him not even really realizing it. Like, I mean, obviously, if you guys have watched the show, you know that this is Three-Eyed Raven, aka Blood Raven, talking to him, trying to get him to tap into his abilities here. But Darron, I want to get your initial reaction to reading this chapter for the first time.
So it was crazy, bro. Like, I love writing an illustration that writing that makes you illustrate in your mind, like you're actually going through a journey when it's sentence by sentence. And this was like the perfect chapter for it. So you mentioned Blood Raven. If you didn't even know who Blood Raven were, you just were listening to the chapter or reading the chapter, you're like, this man is trying to tell him like that afterlife type thing where stay alive, keep pushing, you got to go through. And it was amazing, bro. Like, he actually went through the entire kingdom. And you see even like inserts of like breadcrumbs of seeing his brother, seeing his sister, seeing how the other kingdom, seeing like how the flags are being waved. Like, there were so many like name drops and details that if you really didn't know what was going on, you're just fascinated. And on top of this being like the first Bran chapter since the push, we've covered so much that you almost forget about this part. Even in that very room with his mom and defending him, making sure he's still there, the dire wolf, everything happening. This man was asleep the whole time. Pops is left. Like, he's cool. He's all the way done with some of the drama. It just tells you that this book is, like you were, dense. It's just so amazing. I'm thrilled, and I was excited. I wanted more.
Yeah, like, to what you said, this is the beauty of George's writing. Like, he puts so much in. Like you said, I mean, obviously, hindsight's 2020. We've seen the show, so we kind of know who's talking to him. But at this point in the book, if you haven't seen the show and this is your first time kind of going through this, you don't really know what's going on, but you get the gist of it very quickly. But he's also not rushing through this process either when he's writing this through Bran's POV, right? But like you said, like, we're getting a recap of everything that's happened since Bran fell from the tower, right? Or since he's been pushed from the tower. Like, they talks about seeing his mom alone in a cabin with like a bloody knife that she's staring at. So we're getting all this stuff kind of, recapped for us. His dad pleading with the king, stuff like that. But what I really like about how they utilize this kind of omnipotent power, if you will, right, that Bran has, is he since he doesn't understand it, he's seeing both things that have happened are happening right now and things that will happen in the future all at once.
Yes.
Right. So the way that green seers see time is kind of like, and you might like this analogy, is kind of like Dr. Manhattan, right? In the Watchmen TV series. Yeah. He doesn't view time as linear the way that we view it. Mm-hmm. Everything is happening all at once.
Yes.
So there is no like past, present, future. It's all kind of, it's just one big canvas that he's seeing, right? Mm-hmm. So with Bran, for example, one of the parts that really stuck out to me was, he's, like you said, he's kind of going through the whole kingdom, seeing all these different things. He's seeing the trident, he's seeing all this. And after he kind of gets through Westeros, the book starts off by saying finally he looked north. He saw his brother Jon alone.
Ooh.
And the way that they describe this is, again, foreshadowing, right? Because he says he saw his brother Jon in a cold bed, his skin going pale and hard, and all warmth left from his body. So right there, they're giving it away that Jon's gonna die.
Before you like that part right there, when I was reading this, I'm like, yeah, he's up north. Like, all right, cool, but he's in the black. Like, he's probably looking at him like actually laying down and one of his little bunks is cold up there, everything else. But like, no, they weren't talking about the black. They were talking about the future. And like, if you did not like catch that aspect, you're really thinking like, oh yeah, he's just asleep. It's cold up there. I mean, he just has a little quilt, whatever it was. He's stiff. Yo, that was a bar that I did not think they were going to drop this early in the book. This early, if you were reading the first time, there's no way you knew that was the future.
Yep.
George's a monster.
Yeah. And like, he does it so subtly, but if you read that, like, even I was reading it today, and I've read the books multiple times, but I had to go back to that sentence and was like, wait. Let me read that again. And it was like, sleeping in a cold bed, his skin growing pale and hard, while all warmth left from his body. I'm just like, oh my God.
I was
it's right there.
Absolutely thinking about the wall. Like, I was thinking like, yeah, he's just there. It's no problem. Like, the layers of this, bro. And you could still say, oh, he's just talking about the wall. No, like, these are layers that he's just peeling off. Like, I'm going to tease you with this. And the shortest chapter we had so far, that's when he's going to drop this. And then also, by the way, Bran coming back swinging. And he says a dream. He's landing. I'm gonna get up. It's a dream. It's a dream. But realizing that you were not only dreaming, my friend, you were seeing. You were seeing everything. And it's fascinating.
But it's also, like, you also see throughout this chapter that the three-eyed crow this is a test for him, right? Because Bran sees at one point, he's looking down at the mountains as he's falling, and he sees the bones of a bunch of other dreamers, as he calls them, scattered throughout the mountain, right?
Yeah.
So, he tries to convince himself, this is a dream. Before I hit the ground, I'll wake up, as I always do. You always wake up before you hit the ground when you fall, which all of us can relate to, right? Like, I'm sure all of us have had a dream where we've been falling, and like before we hit the ground, we all wake up. Yes. But the crow was assuring him, no, you're going to die when you hit the ground. So I think this was kind of like a test for the three-eyed raven to be like, hey, all these other dreamers, they may have had the gift of green seeing, but they weren't able to tap into it for whatever reason. So I think if Bran wasn't able to tap into that ability and fly in his dream, quote unquote, then he would have just died. Because, I mean, he is effectively in a coma right now. So he's hanging in the balance between life and death right now as it is. And this is kind of the thing that brings him back to life, is this green seeing ability, right? So it's, and of course we get another tease of the real threat of this world, right? After he talks about seeing Jon, he says, he starts looking north and north and north again, and basically whatever it is that he sees, and we don't even get a description of what he sees, but that he like screams out loud because it's so terrifying, right? Again, it's another one of those things where we haven't even had mention of the White Walkers for several chapters, right?
The prologue and then a little bit of it with Eder, but like it says history is like passing on the torch. But like we have someone now that was not even born in that generation. Like this is a young lad, and he's already seeing something like it's real.
Right. And so again, it's that every now and again George is dropping this in, like, hey, by the way, don't forget about this. This is really fucking important. All this other stuff doesn't really matter, right? And even the crow tells him, it's just like when he's having this vision of Jamie saying, the things I do for love, before he pushes him out the window, and the crow's like, no, forget that. You don't need that. Put that aside. That's not important. The guy who tried to push you to your death, that's not important. But when Bran sees what's going on north of the wall with the White Walkers, then that's when the three-eyed crow says, now you know, now you see, now
Yes.
you understand what this is really about, right?
And then Bran makes a decision to choose to live, and like
Right.
having all that, like that's just there. And then not only choose to live, and you mentioned how like Jaime's situation was that's a side quest. You just told me I'll wake up and I don't feel anything on my legs, bro. I feel nothing. But that's a side quest, and I got to focus on something bigger than that. That's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. It's going to get so much more interesting through Bran's journey, because this is, I mean, he arguably has the most important journey of any of the POV chapters here, right? And again, we talk about that, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but the Game of Thrones, after the prologue, it starts with Bran. He's the first POV chapter, right?
Yeah.
So again, he starts off the prologue with the White Walkers, doesn't touch on them again, but the very first POV chapter, he starts with Bran.
And then we've had, what, at least 10 since we've had Bran again? Like, it's a lot going on, man. It's a lot.
It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. And you mentioned something before we went live here, about you not knowing the name of Bran's direwolf.
Bro, the entire freaking time, like, I thought I knew all of them. I didn't. Like, reading this book is making me like study a little more, and it's actually really cool. His name is Summer, bro. I didn't know that at all. And then, like, I'm thinking about even the father's sword is ice. Like, there's so many other things that's going on with this whole thing, and your direwolf is Summer. And then you realize, like, yo, he's been gone for that long that in a coma that I didn't recognize Summer anymore. He's huge. Like, you didn't recognize anything about that. Like, even like his talking about his brother and the height, and then like it's just a lot that's happened, and the growth of the personalities of people as well as the positions of people. It's going to be a chaos, a storm heading. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it's really exciting, like Bran's POV chapters, because again, you have so much of this foreshadowing through the book about what the real end game is going to be about. Not what it was in the show, surely, but again, like you said, his direwolf's name is Summer, and he wakes after having this dream and this revelation of like tapping into this ability. He wakes up and he finally decides what his direwolf's name is going to be. It's Summer. And I mean, you look at that, like you said, you look at all these words that George uses to describe things, right? Given everything we learned about Bran up until this point, naming his direwolf Summer, again, we talk about the proximity of, the direwolves versus their owners, their personalities, and what their names mean, right? We know Lady, we know Nymeria, we know Greywind, Ghost. Summer that's the end game here. That is the end game here, is essentially stopping a forever winter brought on by the White Walkers. You know what I mean? So like it's just it's all right there.
Well, you say that loud, knowing that winter is coming, is the motto, is the overall, like, the clouds among all this stuff, and then you find to say the savior / the prophet, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, his right hand man, his name is Summer.
Yeah,
just let that poetic justice sit right there in your mind.
I was going to say it's so poetic. I mean, you picked the perfect word for it. It's just poetic. I mean, it's all right there for us. But at this point, we don't really know the extent to which, what's really going on. And it's exciting to just, go through this again, chapter by chapter, breaking this down and just kind of seeing all the tiny little pieces being put together slowly. So,
the books are by far more fulfilling than the TV show.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And I love the show. I still love the show to this day.
I do too,
but man, the books are just you don't get this kind of stuff. You don't get this kind of stuff in the show.
It's cool.
No. But guys, that was Bran 3. He is now awake. He is back in the world of the living. I'm really excited to continue this journey with him and the rest of the characters. So again, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us. We do this every single Tuesday. We'll be breaking down every single chapter in a Game of Thrones book, all the way to the end. So stick with us. It's going to be a fun journey. If you guys have any theories or any other comments, things that we missed maybe in this chapter, there's a lot to theorize around, especially Bran and, you know, his journey with the three-eyed raven. So, you know, definitely hit us up. Would love to chat with y'all. But Darron, man, it's been a pleasure, bro. And I look forward to visiting Westeros with you again.
Yeah, everybody, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this chapter. Like, even like if you felt that you have a different theory of how things were, let us know. I'm always interested in learning more.
Yeah, for sure. Always a pleasure to hear from you guys. So we'll catch you guys next week.
Peace and love.